The moment I realized, oh, this is gonna help me.
My luck had kind of run out.
We're not just junkies, we're human beings.
Deserving of a life without chaos.
Connect with others so you can get that community.
If I can help save any lives, that's what I'm here to do.
Welcome to the Step by Step podcast. Today's episode, the big picture. And the question I asked our friends is, are the OAT meds enough on their own?
OAT by itself doesn't work, really. Drugs themselves don't solve the problems that come along with substance use.
It's not going to fix all of my problems, but it's a tool.
Addiction is a symptom of trauma.
You've got to find the reason as to why you were using in the first place. And by getting off of the drugs, those things are going to start to come up. So be aware of that. And you've got to be gentle with yourself and patient. You're going to need lots of rest, hydration, vitamins, exercise, love.
Yep, I wouldn't be here without support. I asked Alice and Jay what they wish they had known before they started OAT. Besides the constipation they all talked about last episode. Alice, you first.
Another big thing that I wish I had known before I started OAT was how long I was going to be on the treatment for. I think in my mind when I started, it was like, okay, I'm going to do this for 6 months. It was an 8-year-long journey for me, and it's different for everybody.
I wish I knew how difficult it is to come off of it. I feel like that maybe wasn't discussed. You could be on it for the rest of your life, and there's a very good chance of that.
Kitty and Jay talk about how their ultimate goal is to be safe and to be stable. So I wouldn't rush into tapering, as it's safer to be on OAT than to return to or increase street drug use. Because we know nowadays those drugs are very toxic. And if your tolerance level has changed and you don't know exactly what you are getting, it could lead to an overdose.
If you feel like, well, I might as well just be using, just don't get discouraged, because if you're shooting up or whatever you're doing on the street, it's a hell of a lot less safe than if you're just going to be on methadone or something.
Honestly, you're better off on it for a long time, because if it starts working and you're able to stop using or stop injecting or something like that, using it as a tool of harm reduction or switching to a substance that's less risky, that's a win for me. Personally, have made my peace with the fact that if I'm on methadone for the rest of my life, it's still better than relapsing and possibly dying from an overdose.
If I didn't decide that day, oh, let's come in here and try to go on methadone, I don't know, I could probably, who knows where I'd be right now. I overdosed on New Year's that one year, and if someone didn't come and revive me, I probably would be dead.
Someone needs to be on OAT and then continues to use because they have a long-standing history of substance use, or they don't have family to care for them, or they don't have connections in their lives, which I find is the biggest predictor of substance use is someone's connections. Whatever they can do to reduce their harm, whatever they can do to reduce their risk of passing away and ending up a statistic.
Kitty tried tapering, but she was not able to get off OAT in her last attempt. She told me she did not have enough support at the time, or the time to do it slowly enough. She may try again, but she still thinks OAT was a lifesaver and more than worth it.
It's changed my life. Before I went on it, it was a struggle for me to just feel well. And now, just being stable, I'm able to actually pay my rent without waking up and spending that money on dope. And I have 2 cats.
If your goal is to get off OAT, your service provider will discuss tapering options when the time is right for you. Tapering needs to be done slowly, and sometimes life presents challenges, and you may need to stop tapering or even up your dose, which is normal.
OAT works best when there are other support systems too. Everyone has setbacks. If you do, don't be too hard on yourself. You deserve to be safe and connected, no matter what.
Randy recently got off OAT. It was not easy. Randy, what got you through this journey?
Starting OAT, taking OAT, coming off of OAT, I realized that it is okay to not be okay, and it is okay to accept a little bit of extra support. There's days sometimes that you miss a dose or something like that, and then you're feeling super crappy and you feel like you want to go back to using. If no one knows that you're on OAT and you don't have a support system, they can't support you in making sure you get through it. So I have quite a big support network. I connect with counseling, peer support, my family doctor, psychiatrist, case management.
Randy, has this journey been worth it?
So the chaos that I was talking about before, in my body, it felt like a tightness, scary. It was overwhelming a lot of the time. And now what I'm experiencing, like I'm actually content with where I'm at in life, and I find that it's a lot easier to be grateful for things, and ultimately I feel peace.
Alice never expected to be on OAT for 8 years. She also stresses that it was support that got her through it. She is off OAT now.
I've had some really amazing people support me. It's so important to have some connections and some supports, whatever that looks like for you.
I asked Genesis and Jay about their support systems. I know you both also have experience with different kinds of meetings like Narcotics Anonymous and others. Tell us about what keeps you going.
Journaling, yoga, helps to keep your body moving, going to meetings, connecting with like-minded people.
Even though I think that there's many issues with the 12-step community, I went to meetings for years, in my first several years of recovery, because it was important to me to meet others who were struggling with substances.
NA meetings, that's where it really helped for me. I'm sure there's other options too, like out here, there's Dharma recovery, which is slightly different than NA. It's more of like a Buddhist approach.
Me having a good counselor that I trust and having good friends that I can talk to has been really, really important.
Dealing with your problems and, going to counseling and stuff is not as scary as people think. You gotta connect with people that are supportive.
You're not alone, right? Like when you first start your recovery process, it's a very lonely feeling, but then, you start methadone or Suboxone or whatever, and then that kind of opens up the doors to like other people you can talk to. Keep with it.
Be prepared for some road bumps along the way. It's not easy to stick with it.
Stick with it, because it legitimately can save your life if you allow it to work. And don't miss doses, because that's how you end up in withdrawal, and that's how you end up using again.
Yeah, it's not gonna be an easy process, but it's a possible process. You get your freedom back, you get yourself back, and you get to explore a whole nother option, a whole nother side of life where you're thriving instead of dying.
Well, that's a wrap on this season of Step by Step. Always remember, it's about you, your reasons for being on OAT, your goals, and your choices and needs. There is no single or right approach to treatment.
But speaking for all of us, we all deserve to be alive and to be safe and connected.
We want to thank all of our guests, Kitty, Alice, Jay, Randy, Genesis, and nurse practitioner April, for sharing their very real experiences with us. Until next time.
You are not alone.